All right, gentlemen, the day is finally here. We're going to drill the choke today. First, we're going to do regulators. But I want to say something first. I have got comments from people who have done this process praising it. Do not be afraid to do this. You guys will not screw your gun up. You can't. You're going to do it exactly the way I tell you. And when you're done, even drilling the choke out, you are not going to be afraid. You got this. You can do it. You know, I developed this and I'm shooting my gun that I drilled out with a drill. If I was to do this for someone who paid me to do it, I put it in a lathe. This process, everything I developed is for you to do at home. It's for you guys to do at home to make your stuff better. So take what I'm showing you and use it. One person really wanted to know how to get the regs to 200 bar. Let's start with the regulator and then we'll go to the barrel, okay? All right, regulators. I really like lane regulators. And I'm going to show you why. Lane are a little bit different, right? Lane has conventional springs. They're the only company right now that is able to make these springs. I mean, technically, they're very hard to make. I mean, look at the thing. Look at that. It's incredible, right? And the great part about these is they recover very fast. They're very accurate. They recover quick from shot to shot, extremely quick. Now, if you have a lane reg, you know you got, if you've had it apart, you know you have these, right? You have to add 30 thousandths more. You keep these in there, and you have to add 3 of these. You have to add 30 thousandths more. You know, whatever spring you can get, or whatever washer, make it fit. You add 30 thousandths to that. Another thing I like is the way they seal. I'll do a video on these another day. All right, so you want to get this, your lane reg to 200 bar. You're going to set your regulator pressure to 160. You're going to put those 3 washers in here, and that's it. You're at it was like when I don't have my gauge anymore, it was like 197 bar. So you're right there. That's easy. Let's get to Huma. A lot of you guys are probably using Humas, right? All right, Huma's a little different. You get a Huma reg apart, and they look a little bit different. They have Belleville washers. They're spring washers. They're concave, right? They kind of look like this. When you've got 2 of them, you've got one, where'd my marker go? You got one on the top, one on the bottom. Concave, right? So that's your spring. That's your spring. They're fighting each other. So when you put them together, that's it. Against each other like this, that's your spring. Now, you can make your spring stronger. How do you do that? Well, when these you get, when you open them from the factory, right? There's going to be 2 the same way. So there's going to be 2 stacked, concave this way, then another 2 against it this way, then another 2 that way, right? So in order to get to 200 bar, I have this set, let me see. This is set at 165. So this, your adjuster that you normally use for your bar adjustment is set to 165. Then you're going to take your washers that are usually 2 stack. You're not going 2 stack anymore. Now you can do this a couple different ways. Your best way is to use a 40 thousandths washer. you'll have to custom fit it. Me, I had extra Belleville washers. So how did I do the stack? We're going to change the stack. We are no longer doing 2 against 2. We're going to do the bottom one. Really, my marker quit. Let me grab another marker. It's not like we don't have a million. Okay. So, we're going to go 3. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. The bottom one, we're going to go 4. So, I'm sorry I said 3. 4 there. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now, remember normally I said 2, 2 against 2 against 2. So, and we need to add 1. We need to take up that space. And let me explain why we need to take up that space. Because you have a limited amount of travel. I think the travel, and can't quote me on it, I think the travel was 4.5 millimeters, which means this can only go so far, right? So if you think that you can keep turning your stop out, your seat, these are good to 170. So if you were to turn this past 170, your plunger, your piston is going to stop, and there's going to be a gap left. So you're not going to be, it's not going to be able to close. You're going to be using your gun and you're not going to have a reg. So this is why you have to be set to 165. And this is why we have to tension higher, because we do not have enough travel. There's a stop in there. So now we're going to do that stack. We're going to do 1, the same one. I got them facing, if this is the plunger here, there's your stem. I got them going like this. So it's going to be 4 and then 3. All right, so we got 1. Oh, you know what we should do? We're not going to do that, and I'm going to show you why. You see that? That's aluminum. So you don't want this edge pressing on the center of that aluminum. So we're going to do this the smart way. Let's draw it out so you guys know. This is your plunger. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. This way, our washer, the pressure, because this has got thousands of pounds of pressure on it, is going to be on the outside of that center, not on the inside of the hole where it could possibly, I mean, that's aluminum, it could nick it, push hard enough to where it'll actually start grabbing and keep this, your plunger, from sliding easily. So, like I said, we're going to go out with them. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. And you're going to notice that when you do that, it's almost the exact same height it was. Let me explain that too. Okay, this is important. Now, when we have 2 and 2, right? You've got roughly, let's say, it's got to be 40 thousandths. So you got 40 thousandths of travel here, and then over here, you've got 20 thousandths, right? Because you got this flat that it's against. But now, when we put them all together, we've only got the travel, let's see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, curved, right? we've only got 20 here and 20 here. So we lost travel. So we got to make sure that we keep at least enough. That's why your plunger can't be set too far out, because we're losing travel. Instead of having 60 thousandths, we're down to 40 thousandths travel. So that's why we're not cranking this stop, the seat for your plunger. That's why we're not cranking it open. That's why we're at 165. Now at that, this is funny. This is the seal. That's what it seals on, that little piece of plastic. That goes in here. And then your plunger goes over. Oh, we got to put the seal back on. Make sure, if you take this apart, do not drag these washers over this seal or it will be finished. Let's see. Let me get some lube. I'm going to put it together all the way. Let's see. We got silicone grease. We got silicone lube. Okay. And I'm going to mush it in the washers too. You know why? A lot of friction there, fellas. You want to get it between the washers. Normally I do everyone separate, but I kind of wanted to do this a little quicker for you guys. So there we are. It's lubed. It's back in. Let me get something to wipe my hands. And that's it. 200 bar. Now, I have to tell you, the only reason I know it's 200 bar is I did this before. And the clip slid right back in, your retainer. Nice and easy. Now, my setup is 200 bar. And that's it. I mean, this thing is just a marvelous. This is out of a Marana headgun. It is just so incredibly well made, guys. This is your valve. Nice and long, right? Super long. It's so slippery, I can't get it out. It's stuck on the seal. And the pin. This pin is titanium. So it's extremely hardy. Let me show you the original spring. We got to talk about that. Got all this stuff. Now, the spring that was on there, guys, I swear, it had to be 20 pounds. It was so extremely hard to push. And you got, I don't even know why they would do that, but they do. This was a spring that was on there originally. I swear to God, guys, this thing is so hard to push. Look at it. It's got to be 20 or 30 pounds. I'm pushing hard. So, I usually remove these totally. You take the spring totally out, and then you back your hammer off. This one, I had this nice light, nothing to it spring that I put on there. And that's what I used. Now, I had to put a spring. Well, I didn't have to, but I think I was afraid I would have a nightmare. And I'm going to tell you why. With this gun, a lot of times when you take the spring out, as long as your gun's cocked and you pull back on this, just like that, and you have a compressor, and nothing contacts that, the gun's going to fill in just like normal. No headaches, nothing. But if your hammer taps it a little and you don't have a spring in there, it's stuck wherever it was pushed. And believe me, sometimes you can take the gun and shake it down, but a lot of times you just got to grab it, if you can get in there with needle nose and just pull it a little. But this gun is a nightmare to get at it. So that's why I have a little bitty return spring in there. It was unbelievable before how hard it was. And the thing is, why do you want your hammer to have to work against that spring? Your air pressure in your gun is high enough to keep the valve closed and sealed. You don't need a spring. And the great thing about not having a spring is you get better consistency and your cocking pressure is easier because you're going to back the hammer spring out. You don't need to hit it as hard. This is the one part why I love this gun so much, right? Was the hammer system. It's like a revolver. Look at it. That's the hammer. I put on a hammer weight too. You adjust it, you loosen this, and you screw this in and out. So there's one spot you have friction with this hammer, and that's at your pivot point, right? So I always liked the system. I love the system, and I thought it's got to be more consistent, right? And then I build the Artemis. And you've seen that gun, and you heard my crony numbers. It's normally 2 FPS difference. And the thing is, your Avengers, your Emerald, your Gauntlet, all your guns that are hammered guns have that same weight, same style hammer. So, can I say that it matters? I mean, I'd like to think it matters. I like the setup. But how are we going to be able to get consistency of 2 feet per second, right, with a system and say that this is much better? I would like to think it's more accurate, but honestly, look at what I got out of the Artemis. The Artemis is the king. I'm telling you. Okay, so let's get back to our barrels. We talked about it before in the last video, and I wanted to stress another thing that I don't know if I said it. A smaller slug is better. Like if you got 25 cal and you've got a 26 grain slug, it goes through easier and you can feel the differences easier. And I'm telling you guys, when you start pushing that through, close your eyes, concentrate on it, and just go slow and feel it. Feel everything that's happening in that barrel. Picture it in your mind. And like I said, when you come to a spot where that slug gets stuck, mark it on that wood or that metal, whatever you're using. You can use a metal rod with nylon coating. Mark it and keep pushing. And then when it gets easy, mark it again. Take it out, and then make sure you mark from spot to spot, right? Because that's where you got to hit it then. I'm sorry, was that all out? All right. So from spot to spot. So this is the snag right here that started. You can feel it, right? And then you're pushing, and it's a little tight, and then it lets up, and you're marking it there, and then you're going to color it in and mark it for yourself. So you know that that area needs the attention. Definitely. Okay. So you get that done. And I showed you in the other video how to set this up. And the thing is, you know, at first, I remember my father always just going back and forth. He never used and spun it. I'm going to tell you something. Spinning it is like, holy crap, it's so much better. When I started doing, I told you about the progressive choke, right? Or the progressive rifling. You need a lathe for that. So what I do is I start here, right? I get the gun, I get the machine set up, I get it spinning, I get my paper set up, 2500, and then I start pulling back. And the machine does it for me, and I pull back to the point I want, boom, and stop. Then the next swing is going to come. and it's going to be 2 inches shorter. Boom. And then the next one, going to be 2 inches shorter. And I do that till it gets to the end, and then I repeat, and I repeat, and I repeat until I feel that the slug has got the travel that I like. And the funny thing is, right, I did that to the Huma. And if you watched my video the other day, at first, I had to hold over 2 mil dots, right? It was on the number 2. And in my scope, it was turned all the way to the up, the travel. I did this process to it, right? Took it apart, put it on the lathe, and I did it. And I was shooting high. And I mean like 4 mil dots high. And I didn't have a crony on it. I gotta put the crony back on it. I don't know if that gave me more speed, changed my impact, but you saw that group. I'm gonna get paper out there. I'm telling you guys, I know that gun's gonna shoot a 1/2 inch group at 200 yards. I know it is. And if it doesn't do it on this round, the next round it will. And I am developing all these great things, and you guys, I'm giving it to you. Please, don't be afraid. Do it. You have nothing to fear. Now, on the barrels, remember what I told you? You're going to start pushing that pellet or slug. Pellet might be better because it lets you feel everything a little better. You're going to start pushing till you hit the choke. And you hit the choke, you're going to know it because it's going to stop. All right, so I pushed it in there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's, let's see. It is. That's how deep it is. And I'm going to go a little deeper. You know why? Because I'm not sure. That is not very much. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I did start this. So that bit went in there first, right? And we're going to put that back in. So what you do is you drill till you hit the pellet. Keep looking, right? And then once you hit the pellet, go another 1/4 inch. Now this may have that short of a choke. Normally, 1.5 inches is the length of a choke. So what, the first barrel I did, I got lucky. Remember I did the Artemis and I just nailed it out, took the bit and zipped it, and it was perfectly straight. And I figured, you know what? That's not good enough, because what if we don't get lucky? And what if it's crooked? So what we're going to do is we're going to step it up. This is 249 thousandths. This is 330. And then we'll go up to the, whatever it is, 3/8. I think this is 3/8. Let me see. Hi, JC. Be good girl, all right? All right. This one is 330. The last step is 330. This one is the second step is 265. Okay, so let's see. And there's no fear. Guys, there's nothing for you to be afraid of. Don't be a chicken. Just get it done. Don't keep sitting there thinking, should I or shouldn't I? Is it going to help? Isn't? Oh, it's going to help. I'm telling you, 110%. Your groups are going to be like, holy crap. Come on. You know what? I got to go with that little one first, because we are going back. I do not have enough out. I'm telling you, I would go at least an 1.5 inches. At least. So, goes. I mean, this pretty much straightens itself out in there. That's it. Let me take this off and see how deep we are. Let's see. No, come on. That's it. Is that all you got? A little bit more. You want to get all the choke. You want no choke left on this gun whatsoever.